Liamog on here, 31st of January 2023. This short video is going to seek to demonstrate the use of the Dell Display Manager app on a Dell monitor. So the first thing is down at the bottom here, you can see I can click on search, and I would have typed in Dell Display Manager. I've done that before here. When I click on that now, I'm using multiple screens, so I just pull this up onto my screen. Now I'm using a 34-inch WXGA screen, but I'm presuming this will work on a number of other Dell monitors. So these are the sort of structures that I can put in. So if I click this here, you'll see that I'll have 6 different sections on my screen, or in this case 3 different sections, or 2 different. So I can divide my screen into multiple arrangements like this here. If I were to just look at the one that I typically use, my screen is divided into 3 sections. So this is emulating what 3 separate physical monitors would be. So I'll just hold it like that at the moment. I'll just click off this here at the moment. And so we'll see, for example, I'm going down here, if I just open up a browser there, so there's a browser with lots of windows, lots of tabs open in this browser, that just opens up in there. If I go down here and, for example, open up my Facebook app, you can see that this just pops into that third. So you can see when I grab the top of that screen and just pull it, the locations that it can go into are shown there. Right. Now, where this can be particularly useful, let's say, for example, so on another screen here, I have this, so I have another window open in a browser, so I can look at different, so essentially just on the left-hand side, I have as if it was a screen of its own, then the right-hand side of another screen. So 3 different apps going on here. So for example, I could, let's say I just wanted to have my emails running in here on this side here. In this case, let me just show something. If I opened up a Word file, so if I went into, let's say I just pick up my OneDrive Personal and just go into a Metal Word file. So if I took one of our Metal songbooks, songbooks, and if I opened up, say, that's an earlier version here. So I'm just opening up a Word file here. And where it can be very useful for me is if I need to, say, go on to some part of the internet. What do I see? I'm looking up. So in this case here, the app has opened the book, so it's multi-page. In this case, I'm looking at that stage in multi-page. If I just click the minimize or reduce button there, and I grab the top of the screen, right? Sorry, maximize that, move it around. So once I drop it into one of the sectors, so it now occupies this sector alone here, and I can zoom in and out of that if I wanted. So for example, there's a song, and if I wanted to take another version of that songbook, so where I make use of that, let's say I took another version. Now these are not necessarily the most up-to-date versions. Okay. And forget all the complications that are going on here. So the review. So again, I can maximize that, and suddenly it takes up the whole screen. In this case here, I just want to look at my apps with no my songs here with no markups. If I reduce it there, so I'm looking at a song a little bit more. This is a different version of maybe an earlier and later version of that book. Until I see a couple more years. See the advantage of this. Let me say I pull it over to there. So I have side-by-side access. Now one of these one of those is that song is just done with chord numbers. And this one done with chord letters. But I could cut and paste, or if I was over here, let's say, and I look, just pull up a browser. Let's see, let's take up that browser. Instead of that, maybe look at something on the internet. So I might take, well, let's say I just took up the RT site, for example, RT News, and I saw breaking news. An example would be, let's say I just create a new file open here, and just create a new file, right? I'm sorry, I just need to make a new file, blank file. And let's say there's, so that's open in that. So you see here again my 3 windows. I'll just pull that over into that space. Maybe a section. Maybe I find something on the internet, that anything at all, that I just want to pull the text. So I go over here, select it, right click, copy, and then just dump it into my Word file. Right click, paste somewhere here. I should have a paste that. So just paste it directly in there. So I can have multiple screens. So let me go back down to my Dell app again, my Dell Display Manager app. What I had shown there was the screen running in 3 parts. And in my case, because I have a 34-inch screen, each of those, I'll just take a picture of that as well. Each of those, sorry, I'll just take a photograph of my screen setup. So I'm using a multi-screen setup. But on the other hand, on this particular screen, this physical screen is divided into 3. If I went to go for this arrangement here, it's gone into 2 halves. So for example, I just pull that, I make that screen. Now you see the border between, if I just run that across, the interface between them, I can change that, the nature of these, so I can selectively make any of the screens one bigger than the other. Then when I click it back, I just pull it over like that there. Same way when I click on that, because this is a side-by-side version of the same screen arrangement. Again, if I go into my Dell, my display manager, I could have had, in this case here, let's say I put 4 screens, I had 6 screens in there. So you can see there's lots of different things happening on each of that. I can drop that in there. I can have as many or as few screens in operation as I wish. Okay, so let me just, now this can obviously look a bit complicated, and you physically need a lot of real estate to do this, and you can see that that's there. And if I wanted to pull up, so let's say I wanted to pull up, I often use a text manager. No, sorry, just maybe use a text file. So if I just wanted to work on a little text document at the same time, I just pull that. Pull it down here. Okay, and I could, for example, pull that text on this window here, Control C or copy, and then push it down to that window and paste it. So that's how I can multitask. In this case here, I divided my screen into 6 parts. If I just go back to my display manager and do what I typically, and I've set it up basically in a 3-way arrangement like that there. So essentially I would be just looking at, now if I click the minimize and maximize buttons, the way to do is just to hold the top of the window and drop it into the area which is circulated in red. So if I want to pull up my Windows Explorer, so I have Explorer in here, I have a bit of text that I'm playing with here, I have a book that I'm playing with there. If I wanted to have an app like Facebook or something sitting in there, I could move it around. So that's the benefit of having Dell Display Manager. I'll just kill a lot of these. I don't want to save these. And it will, I understand it'll work on a number of on Dell monitors. Certainly a 24-inch screen, if you worked it side by side, would give you two screens which would be more than A4 in terms of size. So easy to work, and you're not opening and closing windows, and you can keep things happening at the same time. Okay, so I'll just cull that at the moment. Thanks.